For more on Canada Soccer's finances, let's get reaction from Jimmy Brennan, former national team player. And, Jimmy, I can only imagine as a former player, as someone who's been in that system, still very much involved in the game. What was your reaction?
Yeah, I think there was disappointment, I think, across the board from everybody that's been involved with this game in the country. Back when I was a player, we knew they didn't really have the finances. We didn't have the backing through sponsorships. So we knew the situation. But where we are today, and you look at the women's team and the success that they've had, you look at the men, the success that they're having with sponsors getting involved, you hope that word bankruptcy that was used was a little bit loose and maybe wasn't totally correct, because you then tend to wonder and think, well, how we made this mistake? How can we be talking about bankruptcy? And somebody's got to be accountable for it, because obviously they haven't budgeted their at the beginning of the year the way that you hoped they would have, to make sure that financially we are stable.
You know that without fail, people will start to attack the Canadian Premier League because it falls under the CSB contract. Where are you in your feelings with that, given that you coached York United, you've been part of the CPL, you've been part of that development, you've also seen, what it means to those players. So when you hear people just say, development, it's not good enough, it's not coming from a league, it's only in its 5th season, what's your reaction to that?
Disappointment, because I don't think people really understand the true facts of what this league has done. There's a lot of owners that have invested out of their own pockets to make this work and be successful, to give these young Canadian players resources to fulfill their dreams of being professional footballers and one day representing this country. We needed a domestic league. We need a bigger player pool for our national program to thrive. And you're starting to see already a few players that have come through the CPL that are starting to break into the national team program. So it's doing its job, and it's been hard work by everybody. But the Canadian Premier League isn't budgeting for the CSA. They've got nothing to do with that. Their role is simply now just developing and putting this league together and helping grow this game in the country.
Jason DeVos also mentioning that in September, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to take advantage of that FIFA window and have any games. Are we going backwards now?
You feel that we are really, with so much going on, with our women, with the Olympic programs, with our men in the World Cup, now our women in the World Cup. There's so much going on, but you tend to feel like, yeah, we are going backwards. It's just been a black eye over Canadian soccer for far too long now, and it has to get fixed. And how we're at a stage right now where we can't host games, or we can't be playing international friendlies during a FIFA break, I think it blows everybody's mind. And there's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
There was a lot to digest in that article where Jason DeVos spoke, but there was definitely a paragraph there where he talked about, if we're going to be able to fund all these other programs, development programs, youth programs, that the compensation may not be where the players want it to be. Do you feel that the original offer that was tabled, we know last year, and then once again, Canada Soccer made that available in March, this is what we've offered to the players. Do you think that needs to be renegotiated? Do you think that's off the table? That was Jason's way of saying that.
Yeah, of course, you understand what Jason's saying. Jason's more or less saying we can't pay what the initial deal was. And I think a lot of people were taken back from the deal that was offered. And if the players ended up getting that money, then what happens to the youth national team programs? Where are they funded? They're already underfunded. And those are the next players that are going to be representing our country. And if we don't put the resources and time and money into that next generation, our national team program is going to be in an awful lot of trouble.
13 years since you last represented the Maple Leaf. I know you have so much pride in having represented this country, but it's got to still feel frustrating that 13 years later, we're still having this conversation.
No, it is. And I think everybody that's represented this country or been involved in Canadian football, they're all feeling the exact same way. And it should be a time right now where we're celebrating our women going to the World Cup, celebrating our men being at a World Cup. And you feel like we're not. It's just, we're always constantly getting pulled back. We feel like the reins are getting pulled on us. And me personally, being a proud Canadian that represented this country, I just wanted to see this national team program be successful, and be able to provide the resources needed for every single age group under this Canadian Soccer Association.
Well, we hope that they will now start taking the right steps to making that happen. Jimmy, always appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much.